Good morning, everyone. Adil here, and welcome to the August edition of the Surroundup. Well, the first half of 2022 is officially behind us, and it was certainly one for the history books. To provide some context, here's what we just experienced. The first half of 2022 ranks in the worst 3% of all 6-month returns since 1926 for stocks. Only the fourth time over the past 100 years that both stocks and bonds were down 2 quarters in a row at the same time. Worst start to the US stock market since 1970, and the market fell 5% or more in 3 out of the first 6 months. This didn't happen at all last year and only twice in 2020. Let's all pause, take a moment, and appreciate what we've just experienced. It's important to acknowledge that, again, without fail, you continue to stick to the plan and trust the process through an extremely challenging market environment. As we navigate through the second half of the year and beyond, it's important to understand what moves markets in the short term. It's all about expectations. A company's stock can sell off on great news if expectations are too high, and they can rally on terrible news if expectations are too low. In the first half of 2022, markets priced in or expected the worst. Soaring inflation, which would be met by multiple interest rate increases, which would cause the consumer to stop spending, which would reduce company earnings, which would lead to the economy slowing down, then layoffs, and finally an imminent recession. Instead, we learned that company earnings were mixed, but better than expected. The labor market is still strong. Inflation came in lower than expected. Interest rates may rise less than expected, and a recession is not imminent. Eventually, the maximum amount of bad news and pessimism is priced into the markets, and therefore less bad news can move markets higher. So where are we now? July was the best month for the US market since November 2020, and the US market has now made back more than half of its losses. Now, I'm not saying we're in the clear. There are still a lot of risks out there. I'm simply saying that investors were likely too pessimistic earlier in the year. Are investors overly optimistic now? Only time will tell. Either way, it's not about good or bad. It's about better or worse. I follow a Twitter account called All the Right Movies, which basically shows clips of old movies and behind-the-scenes footage. I recently came across a round table of a group of notable actors sharing advice that they wish they had given their younger selves. Here's what Tom Hanks had to say. "I wish I had known this too shall pass. You feel bad right now? You feel angry? This too shall pass. You feel great? You feel like you know all the answers? You feel like everyone finally gets you? This too shall pass. Time is your ally, and if nothing else, just wait it out." I can't think of a statement that better resonates with how investors should think about markets. You must keep your emotions in check. You can never get too high or too low. When the market is soaring and your statement is hitting new highs, this too shall pass. When you think the world can't get any uglier and the only direction is down, this too shall pass. John Templeton once said, "Bull markets are born on pessimism, grow on skepticism, mature on optimism, and die on euphoria." I certainly don't know where markets are heading in the short term. Is the worst behind us? Is there more pain to be had? Either way, this too shall pass. What I do know is that every bear market is unique, but they all share one thing in common. They end. And that's it for this edition of the Surroundup. Remember, there's more than one way to wealth.